Hello everyone, this is Christian G Coasters and welcome to Every Coaster Park. So this is a No Limits 2 roller coaster simulator park that I made that has every single coaster type from the original release. So there are a couple missing from the updates, such as the hybrid coaster and the wing coaster, but as you can see on this lovely entrance board, we have a total of 28 coasters with those limitations. So I plan on making the rest of the coasters, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see when I come out with those and hopefully make the true Every Coaster Park. It features a majority of the No Limits scenery items, so our lovely entranceway shows every single park bench and trash can. Some stats about the total track length and inversions. So let's get right into it. First we have the inverted coaster style, obviously based off of the B&M inverts, such as Batman the Ride, a very popular coaster type in real life, and they are so smooth and satisfying. Every single coaster in this park is an original layout that I made, so some of these coasters, such as the Mars spinning coaster that you see here, a lot of times are a cloned layout, but I made a complete original layout that is heavily based on the real life version. My main inspiration on making this park was that I've been using No Limits 2 for about 14 years now, and I wanted to showcase my skills and do every single coaster. There are a lot of coaster styles that aren't popular with No Limits users, such as the LIM launch coaster, and I've never made a spaghetti bowl coaster until now, inspired by Joker, Poltergeist, the Flight of Fear clones. So this one was pretty challenging to make, but definitely satisfying looking at this dense support structure and watching it weave all around itself. Next we have the Hyper Coaster, inspired by earlier Intamin coasters. This layout was specifically inspired by Goliath at Wallaby Holland. With that stangle dive and low to the ground turns, this one is super smooth and satisfying to watch it go around. Next up we have the Mar Xcar coaster, inspired by rides such as Rip Ride Rocket, Rip Ride Rocket. There are some really cool parts in this park, such as right here. This is my favorite. The flying coaster goes around the rocket coaster, and the rocket coaster goes over the suspended coaster with that loop. So yeah, cramming all these coasters into one space, I got pretty creative with how I could weave them in between each other. Here's the inverted face-to-face coaster. In real life, they are always the standard boomerang layout, but this one just has a loop, no cobra roll. A simple coaster, but it fits really nicely in that thin plot of land. Here is the Mine Train coaster, inspired by Aero Mine Trains. And as you can see, I am indeed a Hershey Park native. Some inspiration from Trailblazer, Storm Runner, and then the Flying Falcon, rest in peace. Here's the Flying Coaster, with the really satisfying pretzel loop and the Ferris wheel in the background. And it also features that dual loading station that you see on most of the B&M flyers. Here's the Zamperla Twister Coaster. Pretty simple cookie cutter type style layout, but those hairpin turns definitely get you spinning, which are so much fun in real life. Now, not only does this park feature every single coaster type in No Limits 2, but I wanted to show a lot of the features, so I knew I did want to make at least one of these styles a racing coaster, so I thought the Vekoma motorbike would be nice to do that with. These interactions are so satisfying. They're inspired by rides like Lightning Racer. Racing coasters are sometimes pretty hard to get right in No Limits 2, but I think I got some really nice dueling and racing interactions on this one. And what better coaster style to use than the motorbike coaster to race? Rounding the back of the outside of the park here, we have the Hyper Coaster with 4 seats across. I decided to use the staggered seating that you see on rides like Diamondback at Kings Island. This one is so smooth and also satisfying to watch, especially because it's one of the tallest in this park, so it reaches above everything. And this turnaround has such nice shaping. The wooden coaster was one that was hard to get right, Lots of twisted moments, and I had to do some custom support work on it. Another feature you'll see are these chaser lights. Let's take a look at those at night here. But again, I wanted to show every single feature you can do on NoLimits 2, and one thing that you can do in the game is the light pattern creator to make lights like this and add some pizzazz to your coaster. And yeah, everything I did in this park you can do with the vanilla version of NoLimits. So there's no custom scenery, scripted rides, everything's just the base NoLimits 2 game. So not only is it a portfolio of my skills in NoLimits 2, but it is also an example of everything you can do with this amazing program. The Vekoma Flying Dutchman is in this corner here, and it is soon to be a Defunct coaster style, but you can ride it at every coaster park. So this one's pretty similar to the clones, but I put my own spin on it and it has some slightly different elements. Here is the dive coaster, inspired by rides like Xcar and Griffin at Busch Gardens. So that was a tour of the outside of the park, and we have some more to get through going through the inside of the park. So going through this way, you will see the famous Every Fence.
Every fence. I quite literally spit out my Fresca like all over my computer keyboard.
Again, I featured every single scenery item from NoLimits in this park, so you'll have to download and see if you can find every single one. This park took about a year and a half to make, and it's crazy to think that since I started working on this park, I graduated college, I got engaged, and moved into a new apartment, so some big life events going on while working on this massive project. Here is the classic looping coaster, inspired by the Schwarzkopf rides. Double loop. You can see those very nice circular loops that are very thrilling. It's a pretty short layout, but I think it looks really nice, especially with that catwalk going all the way down. This one is one of my favorites, the twisted sit-down coaster, inspired by the Hulk at Islands of Adventure. Yeah, one cool thing about NoLimits 2 is if you make a launch lift hill on this coaster style, it does automatically add these drive tires, which look awesome. I love how it goes through the dive coaster Immelman, and again, just weaves in this really tight space effectively. And that snappy cobra roll, I think, are always really satisfying to do in NoLimits 2. Onto the floorless coaster. This layout was inspired by Hydra, the Revenge at Dorney Park. It's a very small floorless coaster layout, but I think it fits nicely in the space and it is very smooth. This coaster I made on FVD++, which is an outside program from NoLimits that helps you make some pretty smooth rides. Other coasters, such as this corkscrew coasters, I made completely in the NoLimits 2 game using the hand building technique. But you can see the nice JoJo roll right here. Another thing I like about the corkscrew coaster are the interlocking loops. Here's the first coaster I made in this park, the 4D coaster. So inspired by the SNS and Aero coasters, but some unique twists, literally, as this drop twist. That's something that's not done on the other Aero and SNS 4D coasters. In this little section here, we have the stand-up coaster, another rare one. This is a very small layout, sort of inspired by the early B&M coasters when they made small-scale stand-up coasters. Here's the Mach launch coaster, inspired by a lot of different Mach layouts. You have this DC Rivals type non-inverting loop, and this one's just so cool how it weaves in the floorless coaster and the corkscrew coaster and just kind of goes all around the park and has a lot of really nice elements that I think would be an exciting ride in real life. Here's the suspended coaster. As you can tell by these colors, it's inspired by the Bat at Kings Island. But this one's really fun to watch go around and see all the cars swinging. Here's the Vekoma SLC. It's a little bit smaller than the standard clone layouts you unfortunately have to see. I've never actually ridden a Vekoma SLC. I had the opportunity to when I went to Six Flags America many years ago, but I'm pretty tall, so I was actually too tall to ride, and I didn't even want to try riding it because I thought it would probably kill my shoulders and my head. I unfortunately, or fortunately, have never ridden a real Vekoma SLC. Here's the Gerstlauer spinning coaster. Really nice family layout, but it fits nicely into this compact footprint. Some nice twists and turns there. Here's the Eurofighter and the bobsleigh coaster. I kind of combined these into one. Some of the supports are actually shared here. We got a little interesting support connection there. And I really like how these interact with each other and fit onto one compact footprint. So it's two coasters in the space of one. Oh yeah, and I made the bobsleigh coaster go through the loop here, which was pretty satisfying. And last but not least, we have the Impulse coaster. Impulse coasters are usually pretty simple. They just have the two spikes swinging without any turns, but I decided to make a really unique layout and a very intense layout too, with that high G-force curve and going through these two massive loops 4 times. So this one's definitely not for the faint of heart. You have a vertical spike and a twisted spike on this one. So that is every coaster park. Thank you for joining me on this tour, and if you want to experience for yourself, there are download links in the description for 2 different versions. Again, one with the scenery and one without the scenery, depending on your system. So I hope you download it and explore it for yourself. There's so much I didn't show in this video, some more Easter eggs, and you can just spend hours riding all the coasters and seeing everything you can do with NoLimits 2. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video.